Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to discuss how to solve multi-step equations, more specifically here, those that involve the distributive property, okay? So I see a set of equations up here, and now there's more information because no longer do I have a two-step equation. I actually have to get rid of this 2, or I have to move that 2 in some sense in order to make this a two-step equation, okay? So what I see over here is I see the distributive property. So here's my factor 2, and I'm actually going to distribute that 2 to both terms. Okay? I'm going to drop this down. My 11 stays the same. This then becomes 6x. 2 times 3x is 6x, and then 2 times 1 is positive 2. So now it just becomes a two-step equation, which we should be pretty solid at solving. Now we want to isolate our variable, this 6x here, which means I have to subtract 2 from both sides. That's isolating our variable here. 2 minus 2 is 0. We've isolated the variable. That was our goal. We wanted to get the 6x alone. And then we have 11 minus 2, which is 9. So now our secondary goal here is to find and solve for 1x. So here I'm going to just divide both sides by 6. This way I can reduce it and become 1x. 6 divided by 6 is 1. I have 1x. And now this is why I divide with my fraction. Okay, 9 over 6, that's just a fraction. I can reduce it by a common factor of 3 to make it 3 over 2. So there's your first example. And what I can do immediately then is test it in Desmos, test it in my graphing calculator. So I'm going to retype this original problem. I'm going to come over here and type in exactly what I had. The only difference is I'm going to substitute in a 3/2. So I have 2 times the quantity, 3 times, and then I had 3/2. So I'm going to type in 3 over 2. You could also type in, if you wanted to, 1.5. That would work as well. I'm going to hit the right arrow over here. 3 over 2. And then the rest of my equation was plus 1. I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to type in plus 1. Okay. Oops. You know what? And I made a mistake here. I'm actually going to take that back because that plus 1 should actually be inside the parenthesis here. Plus 1, that gives me 11, and that's what our equation was originally. Okay? It was equal to 11. That confirms my solution. So that's your first example. Move that out of the way. Second example. Whoopsies. Second example, I'll come over here. And now I have a little bit more. Not only do I have distributive property here, and this is kind of where I want to focus. I want to focus on distributing first. That's where I want to make sure that I take care of first. But then I have another 3y on this side. I'll show you what to do with that in a minute. Okay? So I want to focus here and take this positive 6 and multiply it by both y and negative 2. Okay? The 3y doesn't change, just like the 58 doesn't change. So I'm going to drop both of those down. There's no change there. And now 6 times y is positive 6y. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Okay? Now, what you see on the same side of this equation, you see combining like terms. We have a 3y, we have a positive 6y. We want to combine those together in order to make a positive 9y. Drop in the minus 12, drop in the 58. Okay? And now you solve it as a two-step equation. Isolate the 9y by adding 12 to both sides. We want to make that a 0. I'm left with 9y, and that's equal to 70. And divide both sides by 9 in order to solve for 1y. We want that 1y. 9 divided by 9 is 1. And then you can leave this. You can leave it as 70 over 9. You cannot reduce 79ths. Okay? If you wanted to convert that to a mixed number, you certainly could. But we're accepting 70 over 9. It's in reduced